his clavicle. That's all muscle. There's no fat at all.
Chris Ello.
There was 3 versions of King Kong, but I think the gorilla won each time.
And Matt Scraby.
About an hour in, he goes to use the bathroom, and when he stood up, the nuclear cloud of butt dust was released, and it smelled worse than a porta potty baking in the sun all day.
Don't blame us for any side effects.
You thrilled our fans throughout the postseason with a great performance.
Gwynn and Chris are ready to go.
And away we do go. Welcome to it, everybody. It is a new week, Monday get-together here on Gwynn and Chris. Chris Ello, Tony Gwynn Jr., Mr. Scraby, with his proudly wearing his San Diego Padres sweatshirt after a 5-0 week for the Friars. 2 wins over the Giants, a couple of off days, and then a sweep of the Pirates over the weekend in Pittsburgh. Friday night, it was the offense that came to life. Yesterday, it was the pitching that dominated. And then in the middle game, some guy named Fernando Tatis Jr. stole the show. And stole the game. He ran away with the game. Yeah, he ran away with the game. And the Pirates get out of there with nothing. And the Padres get out of town with 3 games in hand, and on to New York they go, where they evidently brought the rain with them.
There it is on the TV.
Padres ballpark cam on MLB Network shows us that the tarp is on at Yankee Stadium, although we're getting conflicting reports as far as what the story is for tonight's game. Either no, they're not going to play. There's a little chance they can play, all the way up to there's like a 4 or 5 hour window supposedly somewhere tonight that they can play.
New York Yankees weather tracker on Twitter said that there's a window.
The window.
Personally, I love all of the meteorologists that live in San Diego that are up to date on the New York weather, because I've been told by everyone this game ain't being played.
Being played
by people that are living in San Diego.
Yes, right. We all know. That's funny because you're right. There's an actual living, breathing, with a certificate in hand meteorologist right there in the Bronx, New York, who doesn't know whether this game will be played. Right? But people out here who are, 3 time zones away have an opinion on whether tonight's game will be played or not. Right now, the tarp is on. We will find out, along with the rest of you. In the meantime, we will get you ready for a game as if it may be played. Tony Gwynn Jr. should be checking in from the Big Apple shortly or soon.
Yes, he's listening to Mike Schilt speak right now.
All right. So we'll have Tony with us. A little update from him. Maybe Mike Schilt knows whether the game will be played tonight. Although if Mike Schilt did know whether the game was going to be played tonight, he probably wouldn't tell the rest of us, because that's Mike Schilt's way.
It's
okay.
No, it's totally okay. I'm a little upset that I wore my Jackson Merrill shirt today.
You missed it by 1 day, apparently.
Which is under my Padres sweatshirt, and I covered it up because Jackson Merrill is not going to be playing tonight if they play the game.
He's not in the lineup tonight.
In the lineup, yes.
Yeah, Brandon Lockridge is in the lineup in center field tonight. However, according to Kevin Acee, who seems to know a lot of this stuff, Jackson Merrill is either on his way to or already has arrived in New York and is expected to return tomorrow. So that's not, look, it was April 6th, I believe, the last time he played. Tomorrow is May 6th. It was supposed to be, he may be out for an hour or 2. And then it became a game or 2. And then it became a 7-day IL. Mm-hmm. Then it became a 10-day. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was a month. So we'll get Jackson Merrill back. Finally, it looks like tomorrow. But look, the Padres are, no worse the wear. I mean, they have shaken off that 8 of 11 losing stretch with 5 straight victories, and they've got themselves back to 22-11. They're back on pace to win 108 games. They're back within a half game of the Dodgers. They've moved past the Mets into the second best record in baseball. I don't know what, we could complain if we really, really wanted to. Like I could go off on a tangent about how miserable I was for 5 innings Saturday watching my guy, Randy Vasquez, try to throw a strike, which he just cannot do consistently. Now, did he somehow finagle out of all of that? I believe they stranded 10 runners against him in 5 innings. I think he walked 6. He gave up 5 hits. I mean, everybody got on base. But I give Randy, his due. He only held him to the 1 run. And because Manny hit the home run and then Fernando put on his burglar's outfit there in the 9th inning.
It's incredible.
The Padres ran away with the game. But Vasquez, I've told you before, and I'll tell you again, he drives me crazy. He absolutely drives me crazy. And, we'll see. Stephen Kolek was a whole lot more fun to watch yesterday. Now, maybe that had something to do with the fact that he had a 4-0 lead to sit on. But I think it had mostly to do with the fact that throw strikes, get the ball over the plate, get ahead in the count once in a while. It works in Major League Baseball. Some days it doesn't, right? Some days they hit you. Okay, get back out there the next time and throw strikes again. That is the key in my mind. And that's why if you asked me right at this very moment that when Yu Darvish comes back, who should go out of the rotation? I can't stand watching Randy Vasquez pitch anymore. I don't know how Mike Schilt does it.
I knew we were going to have this conversation.
I don't know how he does it.
I thought long and hard.
Yeah, go
I
ahead.
think maybe Randy Vasquez is a guy who gets better with guys on base because he. It's a crazy thing for me to say, but But he does this every start, and he seemingly gets away with it every start.
Almost every start, he gets away with it. You're absolutely right, Scraby. But how can you? Mike Schilt and even Ruben Niebla, the calmest pitching whisperer of all time.
Yeah.
His stomach has to be churning when he watches Randy Vasquez pitch. Because if my stomach is churning 3,000 miles away, I'm sure his is.
He needs to get the mindset, and I know this is like really, really life-altering news that I'm about to give Randy Vasquez. He needs to get in the mindset that there's guys on base all the time because he can make a pitch when he needs to make the pitch.
Maybe we should just save Randy Vasquez to pitch in extra innings. When they start the inning with a runner on base.
Oh, then he's locked in.
He'd be locked in.
That's a 10th inning specialist.
Take him out of the rotation and put him as a 10th inning specialist because he can certainly get outs when there's runners on base.
Yes, he can.
But he can't seem to get any until there are. And, he finally, I think it was the 3rd inning Saturday, maybe the 4th, he finally got the first 2 guys out.
Yes.
And then just can't stand the success. Got to give up a single, got to give up a walk, got to fall behind the next guy. I'm 3-1, and then the guy, hits a line drive at somebody and you're out of the inning at long last. So anyway, that was my only thing. But I don't want to go too far on that because the rest of the weekend, you couldn't have asked for anything more. They hit with runners in scoring position again, just as they did in the Giants series. When they're doing that, they're almost impossible to beat. The Xander Bogaerts people have to at least shut her down for another 24 hours.
Yeah, at least 24.
He not only won the game yesterday with his 3 RBIs, the guy who can't play defense and doesn't have a strong enough arm played Gold Glove defense yesterday. How about the shot that O'Neal Cruz hit that almost took Xander Bogaerts into left field?
Yeah, it did.
And he stayed with it. Got knocked down by a ground ball. That's how hard it was hit.
I mean, O'Neal Cruz is the hardest hitting player in the league.
And it almost took Stephen Kolek's head off. I don't know how Kolek survived that. It was a missile. Bogaerts gloves it on one hop and then is knocked down by a ground ball. Got the out. I mean, look, Xander had a great game yesterday. I know the rest of you who hate him and want to see him fail can't wait to see him go 0 for 4 in the next couple games. And you'll quickly forget about the fact that he's now won you 2 games in the last weekend or so.
Yeah.
Okay? He has.
That's a good point.
He won the Giant game with the home run that put the game away on Tuesday, and he won the game yesterday. He had 3 RBIs out of the 4. So, if that's not enough, fine, I get it. You want him to go, win every game for you. And if he doesn't, then he makes too much money. That's fine. I'll go ahead and take the Xander that can win me 2 of the last 5 games. That was pretty good.
I will too.
Is he tearing it up? Not yet. But he came up big. Give it to him when he give it to him. And you know what? Elias Diaz, I was ready to get rid of all these guys behind the plate. They can't hit. Now Diaz has 3 homers now. He's becoming at least a mild threat up there. That is something. And they finally brought Campusano
I was going to
up.
say, you got your wish.
Well, I did. And look, he may go 0 for 20, but at least you brought him up. You gave him the chance. He's hitting, 1,000 OPS in the minors. Let's see what he can do. He's got to be better than your other alternatives right now, and he is. I mean, they sent down Connor Joe. Who would you rather have, Connor Joe batting up there? So, Campusano didn't get a hit in the 2 games, but he got a couple of walks. He was in the middle of a couple of rallies. It's a start. Let's see where that goes. But I think you got to give him a shot.
Yeah.
They gave him a shot. I like it. Merrill's due back. Look, things are good. 22-11. I got some numbers to back up even how much better that is than you think it is. And we'll hear from Tony in New York, keep you up to date on the weather conditions. Right now, though, I haven't seen it rained out anywhere.
According to the chat, this game has been canceled already.
But according to the chat, they're not according to the people because it's not been canceled.
I'm part of this problem. I am one of these people, but when when people in the chat are like, no, this game's never going to be played.
Okay.
How do you know that?
I don't know how they know.
And I'm like, I'm just going by the Doppler radar. Well, Scrabs, I just looked at it too, and I think that this game's over.
Well, be prepared for the following, Scraby. The minute that they officially cancel this game,
I know.
You are going to get obliterated by the chat.
That's fine.
Just so you know that.
I'm hoping for a game because you know what? A doubleheader for them is not really the best thing for this team.
Look, Pavetta's already had an extra day.
I don't want to say weather doomers.
We're weather doomers, or they are?
They are.
Yeah, we're hopeful.
Yes,
you and I are hopeful there'll be a game tonight. Look, Pavetta's you already had an extra day of rest.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really want to give him a second day of rest. So let's go. Let's get it in tonight. Let's keep on rolling. 5 straight. It's always a little special to be there in the house that Ruth built.
Yes.
We'll see how the Padres and Yankees fare, and we'll keep you up to date on all of the weather. Although apparently you don't need us to, right? Because
they will let us know.
Right, well, I'm just saying all the people listening around the chat are all weather experts, so they don't need us to tell them what the weather is.
This is going to be a callback. A bunch of Whitney Southwicks out there.
Oh, boy. I like Whitney
Southwick. I never met Whitney Southwick, but I loved his weather.
And his name.
It's a great name, too.
All right, we'll get our first break of the day. Big name in the NFL has just been released. Surprising? Not really. We'll tell you who and the rest of it when Gwynn and Chris continues.
This is an
All right, welcome back, Gwynn and Chris. Chris Ello, Tony Gwynn Jr. at Yankee Stadium, where, according to the Yankees, this is not according to any of the people in our chat who have all canceled tonight's game.
It's my favorite new beef that I have with the chat today.
Well, it is interesting that they all seem to know more than the actual team that is hosting the game.
Do you check the Doppler, bro?
The Yankees are officially opening the gates.
Yes.
On time, as scheduled.
Yes.
In 15 minutes at Yankee Stadium to allow the fans to come in for tonight's rained out game. Obviously, they don't expect it to be rained out.
Yeah, they wouldn't tell fans to come to the stadium if they were going to rain it out. It would seem kind of
silly. All right, anyway, hopefully there'll be a game. It's still up in the air for sure. But if you're part of our chat, apparently you've already decided to call the game, even though none of you are actually there.
I'm not coming down on the chat.
Oh, I am on this one.
Oh, you are?
Yeah, on this one.
Okay.
I mean, people that know everything that just don't know it, that's one of those things for me.
I think people know I like to get into arguments about stuff that doesn't really matter. And this is one of the things that doesn't really matter.
Look, if you believe you think the game will be called, perfect. Say, you know what? Looks like it'll be called. That's fine. You have an opinion. You're using your knowledge and taking a guess at it. But that's all any of us can actually do now.
Yeah.
As opposed to the people that are coming on the chat going, oh, no, man, this game's already been rained out.
Well, I found my favorite new account.
Apparently not.
Yankees game radar, weather radar.
They break it all down.
It is a thing. They have their own Twitter account.
All right. Well, Tony should be joining us back upstairs. He's was down with Mike Schilt. We'll hear from Tony shortly. Padres are 5-0 on the week, or went 5-0. I guess it's a new week starting up here. During the 5 games, I told you they hit with runners in scoring position, 17 for 39. That's almost a 400 clip. So you go ahead and you hit 400, and with the pitching the Padres have, you're not going to beat them if they do that well with runners in scoring position. And they did. They were 3 for 9 yesterday. Here's the other rub on this, and it looks like Kevin Acey's starting to pick up on this a little bit. I picked up on it, as you know, like 2 weeks ago. The Padres still have not hit a 3-run homer.
That's right.
They have still not hit a grand slam. They are the furthest thing from a slam Diego as you can possibly be. The Padres now, they went 0 for 2 with the bases loaded yesterday. The Padres now have had 159 plate appearances with either 2 men on or the bases loaded. They have no home runs, and in that span, they only have 5 doubles. One of them came yesterday, courtesy of Xander Bogaerts, who doubled with 2 men on base and scored the runs.
Yes.
That's it. Padres have none. There have been a total of 153 such home runs hit this year between 3-run homers and grand slams in baseball. This doesn't explain anything. It's just one of those weird circumstances. But having said that, without the 3-run homer or the grand slam, you've got to hit with runners in scoring position. You got to get everybody in you can.
Yeah.
Because you can't sit back and wait for that long one that hasn't happened. So really, they're doing this, and that's despite those home run numbers. Now you're going into New York this week where you're playing a team that has 100 home runs already
this year? They have a lot
year?
of home runs.
I mean, that's all the Yankees can do.
I mean, the Torpedo Bat Central. Oh, by the way, remember Torpedo Bats?
Yeah. See, we told you. We told you that was flash in the pan. You didn't believe us. But speaking of solo home runs, because the Padres also are pretty good in that category. Padres 29 home runs this year, 22 solo. All right. They should have been in the Royals-Orioles game yesterday. 11 home runs were hit in that game. A major league record 10 solo home runs in the Royals-Orioles game yesterday.
So it's not just the Padres.
No, look, it's baseball, right? And why does everybody hit solo home runs? Because nobody's swinging to try to get on base. Everybody is going for the home run right then and there. So if you're not hitting line drives, there's not going to be anybody on base for these home runs.
Now, when you say that, how much are hitters changing the way they swing to hit a home run versus hit a line drive?
I think they have over time has developed over time. This has certainly developed the launch angle, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, for sure.
I like what the Padres are doing, which is trying to go the other way.
And
under Oscar Rodriguez, we're going to hit the other way. We're going to hit line drive. Victor, sorry, yeah. We're going to hit the line drives. We're going to go to the gaps. We're going to use the whole field. This is the way people used to hit in baseball.
Take what they give you.
Ask Rod Carew. Ask Tony Gwynn Sr. Hit them where they ain't. That used to be a thing in baseball.
Yeah.
That changed to hit them where they can't be, which is over the fence. They can't catch it there.
I do think it's funny that baseball has gone so far away from like a proven way of playing the game. And then some teams are going back to it, and I think it's
starting to, at least be a little bit of both now. Padres yesterday got their 8th shutout of the season.
Yeah,
that's incredible.
Yeah, 8 shutouts.
Yeah, not too bad.
I put together a little stat thing.
Yes, I see this. Go ahead.
So Kevin Acey's newsletter, if you don't subscribe, you need to because it's great. But he listed all of the pitchers that have pitched during the 8-game shutout, and it's no surprise that Jason Adams appeared in 5 of the 8 shutouts. No surprise that Jeremiah Estrada has appeared in 4 of the 8. Then the only starter that has more than Michael King is Nick Pivetta with 3. He's started 3 games in which they shut out. Then Peralta, Jacob, Morihone, King, Matsui, Suarez 2, Hart, Vasquez, Cruz, Kolek 1. Meaning these guys, when put in the right places, do exactly what they're supposed to do, which is not give up anything.
You got 13 guys that have contributed to the 8 shutouts.
Yes.
That's more than a normal pitching staff.
And you got 4 starters, which obviously they're going to be a part of the shutout. But then you got Michael King doing it twice and Nick Pivetta doing it 3 times.
Yes. The only starter who has not been part of a shutout is he's still struggling, Dylan Cease. I know we're keeping that quiet because we want to hope it just turns around. But frankly, he didn't pitch very well again Friday night. Only lasted 4 innings through 90 some odd pitches.
Yeah.
So, that's something that's going to have to be, dealt with at some point. Right now we can overlook it because we're winning. But Dylan Cease has got to get it figured out here. Hopefully, in New York would be a good place to figure it out before he gets home.
Does Dylan Cease drive you as nuts?
No.
But why? But Dylan Cease is more wild.
Dylan Cease is not pitching well. This is what the result. Randy Vasquez is pitching the only way I've ever seen him pitch. That's the difference.
Okay.
That's the difference.
Just a style.
yeah. Ball 1, ball 2, strike 1, ball 3. I can't handle it. When he pitches, to me, it's like watching a little league game. I just beg for the pitcher to throw a strike. One of the other notions, I want to get this in before we'll get Tony, hopefully after this break, is the notion that the Padres, and people are going to say it after they beat the Pirates, the Padres have played a really easy schedule.
Saw it all over the place.
All right, here's the facts. That's what you're saying. Here's the facts. Okay, let me just give you the numbers. Padres have played 33 games, right?
Mm-hmm.
20 of those games, 20 are against teams with winning records.
Oh, so more than half.
20, and they're 13 against losing records. Now they're doing what most good teams do. They're 12-8 in winning teams, which is solid, and they're blowing out the losing teams. They're 10-3, and all 3 losses was the Rays series. So 20-13. On the other hand, the Dodgers have played 34 games. One more.
They've had a really soft schedule, for being real.
13 versus winning, 21 versus losing.
There you go.
So they're almost flipped. I'm not saying the Dodgers is easier, harder. I'm just saying this narrative that the Padres have played an easy schedule, it doesn't hold up to, a little bit of research. Padres have played a fine schedule. The Giants have played 21 games against winning teams. Padres have played 20. So they're right there. Okay? So, stop with this.
Yeah, I agree with you.
If that's what you want to complain about, or if you think you're, finding a hole in the Padres' armor, not really there.
Well, they're going to go play the Rockies 7 times in September. Again, I think I said that last week.
Well, they got 3 games.
Everybody has soft spots in their schedule.
Dodgers are playing the Marlins again this week after blowing them out 3 games last week. It's part of the deal. The Dodgers are doing what the Padres do. Dodgers have played 21 games against losing teams. They're 16-5. They crush those teams.
They're supposed to.
And that's what the Padres are doing.
Yeah.
Okay? So it's pretty similar, except for the fact the Padres have played quite a few more winning teams than losing. The Dodgers is the opposite. I'm just saying it really doesn't matter. But for those of you that are trying to say, oh, the Padres aren't really that good, they haven't proven anything yet. Okay, fine. You can say it, but it doesn't hold up.
I love that we're truth busting, or what are we doing?
Yeah, fact checking.
Fact checking.
A little fact checking for you there, Scrape, because I knew people were going to say this after they beat the Pirates. They're going to, well, it was only the Pirates.
Oh, you should see the DM I got.
Right.
Yeah, well, they didn't play these guys. They're supposed to beat these guys.
Yeah, whatever. Okay, so it doesn't count, I guess.
They're supposed to.
As a matter of fact, the Philadelphia Eagles last year, they won the Super Bowl with a 4-2 record. The other 10 games they were supposed to win, so those didn't count.
Yeah, yep, you're right.
Didn't count.
Yeah.
That's the way it goes.
The 49ers actually should have gone to the Super Bowl, but,
those games they lost didn't count.
Speaking of the NFL, do you want to deliver your news?
Oh, yes. No more Justin Tucker.
With the Ravens.
And I got to believe no more Justin Tucker anywhere. Who would pick him up at this point?
I don't know.
Except for the Browns.
I don't know. I think
I shouldn't joke. The Browns may need a kicker.
The Ravens just released a statement that's like normal. They go, oh, this was such a tough decision. Was it?
Couldn't have been.
16 people have accused him of doing bad stuff. And again, accused is the word there.
It is the word, but enough to get the Ravens to finally part company with Justin Tucker. More Gwynn and Chris. Hopefully Tony's back up at potentially rainy Yankee Stadium on Gwynn and Chris. Apparently going to play ball at Yankee Stadium despite the doomsayers.
The weather doomers.
Yeah, the weather doomers. The gates are open at Yankee Stadium. Tony Gwynn Jr. is in the booth at Yankee Stadium, so he probably has a little better idea than the rest of the people who think they know.
No, the people here in San Diego, Chris, with their apps, no.
Oh, yeah, you're right, Tony. No matter what you tell us, there are people on the chat here that know more than you do. So how are you, sir? Good to catch up with you.
Good to catch up with you guys.
Always great to talk to anyone who's at Yankee Stadium because I can at least live vicariously through you. I love being at Yankee Stadium. There's just there's a feel about it, you know?
You know, you listen to the folks that have been to both stadiums, they poo-poo this stadium as not being what the old one was. But I like
whatever.
I like the stadium. It's it may not have the old vibe that the old one had or the kind of mystique that it had. This is a pretty good stadium. That being said, the folks on the chat are onto something. I mean, it has been raining pretty much all day. It has not stopped. It is very, very light right now, but it's been consistent. And it does sound like, I mean, they're going to, I don't think the weather forecast is is any better tomorrow. So we might be here to try to squeeze at least one of these bad boys in.
Either that or, the old triple header Wednesday.
Oh, yeah.
Which would be something interesting.
Well, unfortunately for us,
right.
We both share an off day on Thursday.
Yes,
so
they could keep you
there.
They
could go Wednesday, doubleheader Thursday.
So that is a thing.
It is.
Oh, yeah, that's definitely a thing.
We have to. Everything rains out for a couple of days. I think the Padres say, look, we it's not in our budget to stay overnight, an extra night in the hotel. It's not in our budget. Sorry, we're either going to be done by Wednesday or that's it.
I mean, I know that works in the NCAA realm, right? We can't stay beyond this day, but we will stay on a bus before we not play these games if they really want us to play these games. So.
Chris, I actually have a weather report from myself.
Wow, it is raining really hard. This is being cool here on the Entercom Empire. So if you're sitting out there,
what?
So that means that means that it's raining somewhere.
That was what a time right there. What a time it was to be Matt Scraby at that point.
It was not a time to be Matt Scraby at that point.
Tony, I know that real quick, start off with what happened Tuesday because we haven't had a good chance since the bobblehead night.
Oh, yeah.
And your kids doing, the great job throwing out the first pitch. And everybody, if you don't follow Tony on Instagram, you missed it all. But it was great, and it was quite a night. How you made it through, I don't know. But I had tears in my eyes at least 10 different times during the game watching all the tributes to your dad. So
I think it didn't hit me until after. Okay. I don't know that I understood like what was actually happening. Like I knew there was a bobblehead, but I didn't really understand like all of the significance behind it. It's like we go through giveaways all the time, and this one just so happened to be my dad. I didn't recognize how special that was going to be until afterwards.
Yeah.
And so I think the San Diego Padres for putting it on, but the fans were awesome. They consistently came up to me that day and just, it was, Tony Gwynn stories or whatnot.
Right.
And I just was very grateful that, we talk about it often. My dad hasn't played since 2001. He passed in 2014. So, we're coming up on 11 years of him being gone and 24 years since he last played a game, and to still see the kind of love that is put on display on days like those it's a humbling experience. So I'm very appreciative and thankful to everybody who makes that day as special as it was, even though I may not have recognized it in real time or until it was actually happening. But nonetheless, very grateful. It was really cool to see my kids out there. On a sad note, my youngest daughter tore ACL, so that's why she had the brace on.
Well, she didn't, not that night.
Not that it was a couple of days before.
I was gonna say,
not on the pitch. She was the only one who bounced it, and that like really bothered her like the rest of the day.
Come on, lady. It's okay. Huh?
Nonetheless, though, it was a really cool experience, and I'm very appreciative of it.
Scraby and I said the very thing the next day. It was the second largest attended game in the history of Petco Park, and your dad's bobblehead has got to be the main reason why this happened. It was a Tuesday night game otherwise against the Giants, which is a big deal. But, we said this, like 24 years since your dad's played, and he still means this much to that many people. That's an incredible legacy that he will always leave for us. All right, so we got 2 wins over San Francisco, 3 over Pittsburgh. It's a little different story than it was last Monday. And, this is what happens. You ride the highs and lows. But I like the high right now. They've won it a whole bunch of different ways, and maybe only you who played this game can tell us really how impressive what Fernando did to win the game Saturday was, because
my God,
that ball only bounced away by about 1 foot. So
I have spent the last 48 hours struggling to come up with adjectives that describe what he did in that 9th inning.
Yeah.
I mean, it was, and most of it, with the exception of the last play, is all baseball IQ, right? Like recognizing that in that situation in the 9th inning, the outfield's playing no doubles. And so they're playing deeper. And so on top of the fact that they're pinching the gap a little bit. So hard ground ball, as hard as he hit that one, out of the box, he's already thinking too, because he's already assessed, they're in no doubles, pinching the gap. He's got to go a little bit of ways on this ball. I'm getting the 2. He got there relatively easy.
Yeah, but that people didn't notice that, Tony. They thought that was should have been a double. But you're right to bring that up.
They're playing no doubles.
Yeah.
They're playing no doubles, and he hit it hard enough to where Canario, who I believe it was in left, had to range far to his right. And as a base runner, anytime you get an outfielder moving east or west towards the baseball, that's going to make it that much harder of a throw to get to whatever base he's going to. And so, as an outfielder, you always want to be approaching the ball going towards a base. That's best case scenario. So he didn't have that. Part 2, baseball acumen. And here's where the baseball acumen comes in. He didn't take third right away, right? There was an out made. Arise couldn't get him over. Manny was down 2 strikes at this point. So in Toddy's mind, how can I maybe make this easy? He's already calculated that this pitcher's kind of dialed in on Manny, worrying about getting him out. I'm already in scoring position. He's not as concerned. And so what does he do? With 2 strikes, he takes third. Now listen, it could have been a pitch for a strike to Manny where he would have to swing, maybe fouled it off, but it was a ball. It was a breaking ball at that. So he steals third, no throw.
Can we just duck in I want to duck one thing in before you move on. A couple of weeks ago, he tried to steal third and he was thrown out, and Scraby said he didn't mind. We tried to explain that running and stealing third with 2 outs as opposed to 1 out, there's a big difference. And this was a good gamble this time because he got himself in a situation where he's more likely to score as opposed to the other time. Should we note that difference here?
Maybe not. 1-1 ball game. Offense has been extremely hard to come by all game long. We're in the 9th at this point.
Right.
And so even if he takes off there, Manny fouls it off, and he doesn't take off the next pitch, Manny punches. That's just for example. If he's still getting the same reads that he got the previous 2 batters, I don't mind you taking that shot. Because as he said, it wasn't even a play at third. They didn't even throw it down.
Right.
So therefore, he had that in his back pocket. So in this case, I wouldn't have been mad either way. We weren't doing anything offensively, period.
Okay.
So last part comes in. Now, the last part is a combination of something that this ball club has worked on since spring training, which is only one part of it, right? And I bring that up because the good baseball minds are anticipating the same thing that Toddy's anticipating, which is ball in the dirt. However, 99% of us can't actually execute that part, which is being quick enough, explosive enough to, the moment that ball trickles away, you're on it. That's baseball instincts, part of that, but the rest of it is just him being an alien. He got down there.
Being an alien.
He's got his foot in there on a ball that barely got outside the left-handed box. And, no matter how you slice it, it wasn't Bednar's fault. He didn't have time to get from the mound to home plate to even receive a throw. It wasn't like he was lollygagging off the mound. He just didn't have the time because the ball didn't go that far.
The catcher couldn't believe that Fernando
and
was
so the catcher,
sliding in.
Joey Bart was left with one decision, which is I got to pick it up and try to beat him to the bag. And it was close, but Toddy won out. And it was honestly like we often are comparing guys to a situation. That reminded me of Jackie Robinson right there when he took home Yogi Berra. I mean, ball didn't trickle away in that situation, but this was just it was just high level baseball by a dude that is just crazy talented.
You're right, because you and I could have thought that out perfectly, but we wouldn't have made it. That's the difference. Well, you might have made it. You're fast. I would have been caught in a rundown.
Yeah, maybe in my younger days I might have been able to get there.
I would have been caught in a rundown between third and home. That's a different story entirely.
I felt like Fernando did both the things that I've been okay with, which was stretching a single into a double and then trying to steal third. You know, I know it wasn't 2 outs, but Fernando's the only guy on that team that can do all that. So that's why I'm fine with him doing it, because he can do it.
It was a winning play, and it probably buys him a bad base running decision that gets him thrown out in the next month or so. We just say it's okay.
We have
because he just won a ball game.
He did.
By the way, speaking of winning ball games, Tony, of the 5 that the Padres have won in a row, Xander's been responsible in my mind for 2. And look, he's still taking endless back here on Twitter and on everywhere every time he pops up. But I like to see the fact that he's starting to come out of this just if it's just a little bit. And yesterday his defense was really good at shortstop. So you add him into the mix, this is a big deal to me. And I want people to recognize it even while they're trying to dislike him.
Listen, he had a bad series against Tampa.
Right.
And maybe a few bad games before that. But outside of that, Xander had been pretty good. And all we saw him do was kind of get himself out of that funk and swing the bat a little bit better. And it's not perfect, but it's not nearly as bad as everybody's trying to make it out to be. And he had a bad series against Tampa, which seemed to exacerbate everybody and their thoughts on him. But I think Xander's done a good job. This team, it's to me, it's almost like the catcher's offense, right? Like nobody said a word about the catcher's offense when the Padres were getting 10, 11, 12 hits. As soon as everybody got hurt, we start highlighting those inefficiencies that have been there the whole time. It was just tolerable because everybody else was healthy. And so, like, that is not going to make or break their season. It's just not. And so, I think Xander's going to keep doing his thing. It's not going to be great all the time, but it ain't going to be bad all the time. And so, it's how it goes. Padres playing pretty good baseball once again. And, I remind everybody, it may not seem like it, but Luis Arraez is a big part of why all of a sudden things just kind of got back to normal when he came back healthy again.
And speaking of coming back healthy, the word is that Jackson Merrill could be in the lineup tomorrow night. He's either in New York or on his way, according to
he's here.
Our sources.
Yeah, I think he's there.
And now our sources confirmed that he's there. Here's Mike Schilt talking about the possibility of Jackson Merrill's return.
Jackson Merrill in the clubhouse today. How exciting is it to see him making progress and hopefully joining you soon?
Yeah, no, it's great. Jackson's back. Looks like he really was, as you would expect with all the guys. Like just got through doing it. Crony's in the process of doing as well, but just a very professional rehab. He dominated every day in what he was able to do. No more, no less. Actually, some more on some of the areas that he was looking to help support the team and stay ready mentally. But it's great to have him back, and we'll see what tomorrow looks like.
Not playing tonight a matter of just the travel or the wet weather on the field?
Not playing tonight as a schedule of his rehab.
Okay.
Yeah, he played Saturday, played Sunday, and scheduled a day off today to recover, from a couple games. So he's on track for tomorrow.
There we go. On track for tomorrow. That's about as much of an admission you're going to ever get from Mike Schultz. So we will hopefully get Jackson back tomorrow. And that can only make things just a little bit better for the Padres. What'd you think of Stephen Kolek's debut, Tony Gwynn Jr.? Not bad. Or first start, I should say.
It was good. It looked a lot like spring training. A lot of ground balls, pounded the zone. Everything you could have wanted from him in his debut. 5 1/3. I thought he threw the ball very well. A lot of what I was looking for in terms of how he's attacking hitters with the sinker. He was at the bottom of the zone most of the night, and he did a good job. And the bullpen kind of took over from there. And the Padres' offense was good enough yesterday as well. You mentioned Xander; he had the 3 RBIs. They look good. Listen, everybody can look good against the Pirates, but they also look good against the Giants, too, before they left San Diego. So things are looking up. I want to share a quick story with you guys. It happened last night. It was funny. Bags coming off. I'd already taken my stuff up. I came back down. And, depending on the hotel, they'll have like a line of security guards, kind of like an assembly line for the bags that are coming off. But the initial spot is the truck, and then my man's throwing them off. So he's throwing them off, and one of the bags kind of slides away right as this lady is getting out of the Tahoe truck. Her feet hit the ground. The bag falls over in front of her as she's taking a step. So she kind of has to like mid-step jump over this bag. And she's got like a gown on, Met Gala's today, I believe.
Oh,
so
yeah.
She has, I don't know if it's one of the pre-parties, but she has like a long, white, nice gown on. And I'm watching this. I'm like, yo, whoever this chick is athletic as hell. Like, you just jumped over this bag. That would have ended in a face plant 99% of the time. And so I turned to Jesse and TJ Lasita, our travel guy. And I'm like, hey, did y'all see that? That chick just jumped over the bag like it was nothing. Like, and it was a small thing, but in the moment, it just caught my eye. Like, yo, that was crazy. She ends up walking into the hotel room, and I look closer. I'm like, oh, that's Serena Williams.
Oh, wow.
And so I turned and I was like, I guess that makes sense why she was able to kind of just jump over that bag like that. That was crazy. Serena Williams comes walking into our hotel.
That is amazing.
That's amazing, but it also kind of tells you the difference between Tony's world and our world. Serena Williams does not stay at any of the hotels you and I stay in, Scrape.
I mean, this isn't just a star.
I just thought it was funny. I thought it was just some random lady
Right.
jumping over a bag, and it turns out to be like not only Serena, but like the most athletic woman of all time,
Pretty much.
jumping over a bag at like 12:30 at night.
Yeah, I love it. Last thing, Tony, when you see Manny, apologize to him for having to play in Pittsburgh, because you're the one that's supposed to get the nosebleed up in the press box, but he's the one that got the nosebleed yesterday. So I don't know, and it cost him a strike.
The umpire didn't care anything about that nosebleed.
No, he didn't care.
Either.
Right? He rung him up, but I thought of you up in the nosebleed seats when I saw Manny yesterday. All right, well, good luck tonight getting the game in. Sounds like they're going to do everything they can to play tonight.
That's what it looks like. It ain't looking good, but fans are coming down in the seats, so we'll see.
We'll see.
There's a window, Chris.
There's a window. Tony Gwynn Jr., have a good call, and we'll catch up to you tomorrow or whenever the next rain stoppage is.
All right, fellas, have a good one.
There's our guy. He's there. He and Jesse have the call. We got to make way for Sam. Got the pregame show coming up here shortly. Manny's bloody nose was just an addendum to the ball game yesterday.
I tweeted out, no big deal, automatic strike, bloody nose double for Manny, and
it seemed like he almost liked it. He's like, okay, give me one of those.
I have a stat on Manny that I think people are going to like because I was going to do it during the Big Five. We'll probably get the Big Five tomorrow. But the stat is when Manny is swinging it well, which he is doing right now. He went 3 for 4 yesterday with a double and a walk. He's now hitting .295 on the season with an .819 OPS. He's 8 for 19 during his 5-game hitting streak. So Manny's starting to heat back up, Chris.
When he hits, the Padres win, and they've been winning even when he hasn't hit. But when he's hitting, look out. One last thing, if the Padres make the World Series this year, word is and I got this from a source close to Eric Grupner's office there, right at the ballpark.
Okay.
If the Padres make the World Series this year, they're going to petition Major League Baseball to have the World Series games be played at PNC Park in Pittsburgh.
I'm all for it.
And they should do it. If they weren't thinking of it, they should. Mike Schilt is now 28-5 as a manager at PNC Park. That is the highest winning percentage of any manager at any ballpark in the history of baseball with a minimum number of games played.
Yeah.
So, if you haven't drafted that letter yet in the Padre front office, might want to start thinking about it.
I'm all for it.
Yeah. You know what? We love being in the World Series, but we're going to forego our games in San Diego to play them in PNC Park.
Because that the Padres fans would fly
we
to
would
PNC
definitely go
Park.
there. But, Mike Schilt would probably second the notion. How much time do we have?
Not much, so I got to read this. This hour at 97.3 The Fan is brought to you by Robert Half. At Robert Half, we found that 67% of companies want to increase contract talent. That's why our recruiters' expertise and award-winning AI work quickly to find the skilled candidates you want. At Robert Half, we know talent. Visit roberthalf.com/talent today. Also, last day to sign up for the Scrabinator game. If you would like to have a chance to go to 973thefansd.com, go to the contest tab, and you will see my name right at the top. Sign up there. I'm going to be selecting the winners in the next couple days.
All right. The Scrabinator game is a week from today.
It is.
Next Monday against
Sneaking up on me.
Against the Halos. NBA play. Do I have time even to mention? I mean, the Clippers.
We have about a minute and a half.
The Clippers took a dive on Saturday. Look, I'm embarrassed for the Clippers. You've got a championship coach. You got a 2-time championship MVP star. And the rest of them played like just the Clippers that we'll always know. Like, it just seems like one team, like the Clippers are just never going to make it. And they just, a terrible Game 7 performance. Meanwhile, the Warriors last night, they did what champion teams did. They rose to the occasion, and they advanced in a Game 7. One last thing. The Winnipeg Jets scored 2 goals in the last 2 minutes, including the tying goal with 1 second remaining.
Wow.
In Game 7. And then beat the St. Louis Blues in double overtime. That was a hell of a game. But here's the note. The last time the Winnipeg Jets franchise won a Game 7 at home in a playoff series, it was 1977. The league was the WHA, and their opponent that night was the San Diego Mariners.
What?
Yes, an old team in the WHA. That's how long it's been since Winnipeg won a Game 7 at home. Wow. Sammy Levitt is coming next with the pregame show. Pregame to a game, we hope, in New York. We'll talk to you later.